Hi all of you, myself Venugopal. Today we are going to be discuss about mechanical properties of solids. As we know that all solids are made up of atoms and molecules. Now the atoms and molecules are separated by a distance r in a solid material. So if the distance is varying, then the force going to be exhibit between the atoms or molecules. Now that is called interatomic or intermolecular forces. These intermolecular force is going to be exhibit between the atoms. If two atoms are separated by a distance, that force is taken as, if R is equals to R naught, then that atoms are in stable equilibrium. If the distance is less than that stable distance, then force of repulsion takes place. If R is greater than R naught, then the force of attraction takes place. Now here, this force of repulsion or attraction takes place in the form of electric force or electromagnetic force. These forces will give the particular shape and size of a body. Now, this force is taken as the negative gradient of potential energy. Minus du by dr we can represent. Now, if we consider a graph for this, the graph is giving as the potential energy and distance. The graph will be like this. And if we consider the force and the distance graph also will be like this. Now here, this portion is the equilibrium distance portion, whereas this portion force is considered as a repulsion, and this force portion is called as a attraction. Now here, the potential energy of the interatomic forces is considered as U is equals to A by R power P minus B by R power Q in the form we can say. This is the generalized equation for the potential energy of a interatomic or intermolecular forces. Now here, this representation A by R power P means A is a constant, P is a one variable, and where B is a constant and Q is a variable. This minus term represents because of the attraction forces. This positive term represents because of the repulsion forces. Now here, let us consider force. Force is equals to minus du by dr we can represent. That means minus d by dr of A by R power P minus B by R power Q. If you consider differentiation, after differentiating you will get d by dr of A by R power P, A constant, R power P means AP by R power P plus 1 minus BQ by R power Q plus 1. Now, this is the force. So, let us take one example for this application. The potential energy function for the force between two atoms in a diatomic molecule is approximately given by U of R equals to A by R power 12 minus B by R power 6, where A and B are constants. R is a distance between atoms. If dissociation energy is D equal to U of infinity minus U of 0, then what is the D value? Now here, the given potential energy function as U of R is equals to A by R power 12 minus B by R power 6. So let us take here potential energy for the infinity position. U of infinity is equals to A by infinity minus B by infinity gives 0. Means here why we took infinity means R is the distance taken as infinity. And if you want to take U naught value, so U naught value will take place at a position where the force is becoming 0. Now here, let us differentiate F is equals to minus du by dr. If you differentiate that this value minus d by dr of A by R power 12 minus B by R power 6. After differentiating this, we will get A into 12 by R power 13 minus B into 6 by R power 7, which is equals to 0 we can take here. Now, by simplifying this, 12A by R power 13 is equals to 6B by R power 7. R power 7 if you cancel, here it will become 6. Now here, R power 6 is equals to 12A by 6B. So let me cancel 6 to 0. So therefore 2A by B is the R power 6 representation. Now, let me take this value and find out the U naught value. U naught is equals to A by R power 12 minus B by R power 6. Whereas, since R is equals to 2A by B, let me substitute this value here. Therefore, A by, here it is a R power 12, here it is a R power 6. 2A by B whole square minus B by 2A by B we can take. Let us simplify. Therefore, A B square by 4A square minus B square by 2A. Now let me cancel A. Here B square by 4A minus B square by 2A we will get. By simplifying this, we will get minus B square by 4A. So this is the U naught representation. Now they are asking dissociation energy. D is equal to U infinity minus U naught. Therefore 0 minus of minus B square by 4A. That is equals to B square by 4A. So dissociation energy is equals to B square by 4A. This is the required representation. Got it or not? So next concept. What is meant by elasticity? So here this is the property of a body which it tends to regain its original shape and size after removing the applied force. Means shape and size are going to be regained after removing the applied force. That property is called elastic property, that is called elasticity. Next, plasticity. What is meant by this plasticity? So here, which didn't regain its original shape or size is called plasticity. That property is called plasticity. Now, that plastic bodies, a best example is chewing gum, dough, clay, etc. And next here, what is meant by the rigid body? So here, the rigid body means whose size and shape cannot change by any hard force applied on it. Size, shape doesn't vary. Next one, what is meant by the deformation force? So the force which is applied on a body which can change its shape and size. Shape or size or both of a body by applying this force is called deformation force. Next, what is meant by a restoring force? Now here, restoring force. The force, the interatomic force, which restores original size or shape. Without any residue. This is called restoring force. This is also named as a elasticity. Next one, we are going to be discuss about a stress. What is meant by stress? On any body, if a restoring force is developed due to applying force removal, that restoring force per unit area is considered as a stress. Now here, stress is 3 types. Let us take, first one is longitudinal stress. In this, if we consider a force is acting on a body as normally on a area to pull its length, that is called tensile stress, also called as a longitudinal stress, which is a normal force acting on that per unit area, we can take it as. Or if it is a compressive in mode, as force is acting normally on a particular area, now that force is called compressive, that stress is called compressive stress, that is taken as Fn by A. So here it is called tensile stress and it is called compressive stress. These two stresses are also considered as a longitudinal stress. These can change the size of the body. It changes size of the body. It cannot change shape of the body. Now, if you consider force per unit area is called stress. What are the units for this? Newton per meter square or Pascal. What is the dimensional formula for this? M power 1, L power minus 1, T power minus 2. Now, let us take next stress. Next, shearing stress. If a force tangentially is acting on a body, that tangential force per unit area is considered as a shearing stress. Now, this shearing stress will change the shape of the body, but its size didn't change. Next, third one is bulk stress. Now here, if we consider a spherical body, if force is acting in all directions radially inward on it, that force is considered as a normal force. Now, that force per unit area means surface area of the body you can consider. So Fn by A, normal force per unit area, is considered as a bulk stress. Here, totally we are having three types of stress. One is longitudinal stress, which is caused because of tensile stress or compressive stress, which can change the length of a body. And second one, here it is shearing stress, means which can change the shape of the body, but size of the body didn't change. That is because of a tangential force. Third one is a bulk stress, because of a normal force which can change the volume of the body. Let us take one unit. Now, one more example here. A uniform rope of mass m, length L, on which a force F is applied at one end, then find stress in the rope at a distance x from the end where force is applied. So now, to calculate the stress at this portion, we have to find out the tension acting on this portion at this place. So to calculate that, let me take mass per unit length is equals to linear mass density. Now here, the force is applied on a total mass, so it will get an acceleration. F is equals to ma, whereas A is equals to F by m. Now, by the application of this tension T at this portion, this part will move with the acceleration A. Now, this part mass is, let me take m dash. M dash is equals to mass per unit length into length of this portion. Now, L minus x. Now, this mass is moving with the acceleration A by the application of tension. T is equals to m dash into A. So, m by L into L minus x into acceleration is F by m. Let me cancel mm. So, tension T is equals to F into L minus x by L. Now here, F into 1 minus x by L. So now, they are asking a stress. So, stress at a given point, if you want, that is equals to force acting as a tension at that point into area of cross section A. Now here F by A into 1 minus x by L. This is the required stress at that point which is placed at a distance x from the point where the force is applied. Understood? So let us go to one more numerical. Here, two equal and opposite forces F and minus F act on a rod of uniform cross-sectional area A. As shown in the figure, find the shearing and longitudinal stress on the section AB, which makes an angle theta with the horizontal. So to find that shearing and longitudinal stress, so let us take the small portion, that portion AB let us consider here. Now if I take portion AB which makes an angle theta where the force is acting F on this and here also F on this. This is called restoring force develops. By the application of this force, here the restoring force will develop this side because of this applied force. The restoring force will develop over here. So if you consider this force on this portion AB, let me resolve into two parts. Here it is a F. If it is theta, this is also theta, here F sine theta, and here it is a F cos theta. Now here, for this area, this is area A means this is area A dash, let me take. Now here, this area A dash resolves A dash cos theta and A dash sine theta. Means A dash sine theta is equals to A. So now here A dash is equals to A by sine theta. Now here this area A dash on this area, longitudinal force means along the tangent, this is the tangential force and this is the normal force. Already we know that longitudinal stress is equals to normal force by area A dash. Means normal force is F sine theta by area A dash means A by sine theta. So if you make it upper portion, if you bring it up, if you resolve F sine square theta by area, this is called longitudinal stress. In the same way, shearing stress is equals to tangential force by area. Tangential force is F cos theta by area means A dash means A by sine theta. Now if you simplify this, F sine theta cos theta whole by area. This is called shearing stress. So longitudinal stress is this much and shearing stress is this much. Understood or not? Let us take one more numerical. Next. A wire is hanging from the roof, a uniformly mass distributed wire of mass m and length L hanging from the roof, which is connected to a weight of mass m, which is having a area of cross section A. Now, what is the stress at the portion at a distance x from the weight hanging portion? Now here to find out the stress here Here I want stress. So to find out the stress, let me take what is the force acting on at this position. That is tension. Let me take. Tension T is equals to, this weight is acting mg plus, and this portion mass only is acting at this place as mass per unit length into length of that piece into gravity. This is the tension acting at that place. Because of this tension, a stress will develop over there. The stress will apply. Stress is equals to tension by area. So that the tension is acting downwards like this. So therefore, you can take here mg by A plus m by LA into xg. So this is the stress at that place where we want. In the same way, we can go through one more example. If a cylinder takes place vertically on the floor, as the cylinder is a hollow cylinder which is having a inner radii R1 and outer radii R2. It's a material portion. Now, this cylinder is going to be exhibit its weight on the floor. It's going to be apply its weight on the floor. Now, the stress acting at this portion. So at this portion, I want a stress. Now here, stress is equals to its own weight mg by area of the material portion. Now here, weight mg by area means pi r square. But here material portion is pi r2 square minus r1 square. So therefore you can write r2 square minus r1 square. This is the required stress. So like this we can calculate a stress. Next concept is breaking stress. So here breaking stress is nothing but if a stress is acting on a body or a wire, if it is going to be break, that stress is called breaking stress. So that is nothing but, so breaking force by area we can consider. So breaking force is equals to breaking stress into area of cross section we can write. Now here, what is this? So breaking stress is a constant if you consider for a material. Breaking force is always proportional to its area of a wire. Let us consider a wire is hanging from the roof by its own weight mg, so of length L. So what is the maximum length of a wire we can hang without breaking, which is having a breaking strength S. Now here the force, if you want to consider here, force is equals to mg. Mg is equals to breaking stress S into area of cross section. If that area it is a, let me take A. Now mass of the wire, if you consider dense area of cross section into length of a wire into density and gravity is equals to S into A. Let me remove A. Now length of a wire which can hang from the surface, from the roof. Let us take one example on this breaking stress. A body of mass m is connected to an inextensible thread of length L is whirled in a horizontal circle, find the maximum angular velocity with which it can be whirled without breaking the thread. Breaking stress is given as S. Now here, breaking stress, the force, breaking force is equals to breaking stress into area. So now here, a wire is there connected with a body while in a horizontal circular motion with angular velocity omega, which is having a length L, thread length. Now, the force acting toward the center is called as a braking force. That force is considered here, it is a centripetal force. Now, the centripetal force, let me consider m r omega square, means ml omega square is equals to braking stress is S. Now, if you consider this representation, braking stress into area, now here they are asking angular velocity. What is the angular velocity? Omega square is equals to S into A by M into L. Now omega is equals to root of S A by M L. So this is the required angular velocity for the body which is connected with a thread to whirl in a horizontal circular motion without breaking, as omega is equal to root of braking stress given in the sum into area of cross section by M into L we can take. Here area of cross section, if we want, we can take it is a area of cross section of a wire, but it is not a area of a circular motion. Understood or not? Let us go to next concept. Next one is punching a hole. If we consider T is the thickness of a given plate where we are going to be punch a hole of radius r. To punch a hole, we have to apply tangential force on that. So tangential force, if you apply, that stress is called shearing stress is developed over there. So now here tangential force is equals to shearing stress into area of the material to the hole. Now here when we are punching, the circular portion is there, 2 pi r is the circumference of the circle and a T is the thickness. So area is considered as 2 pi r into T. This is called tangential force. So this formula is useful to calculate the force required to punch a hole which is on a plate of thickness T, which is having a shearing stress value S. We can calculate force required. Calculate the force F needed to punch a 1.46 centimeters diameter hole in a steel plate of 1.27 centimeters thick. The ultimate shear strength of steel is 3.45 Newton per meter square, mega Newton per meter square. So now we have to calculate the force here. So the force, punching force is equals to shearing stress into 2 pi r T. Now here, what is the radius? Radius r is equal to d by 2. Given d value here it is 1.46 centimeters. That is equals to 0.73 10 power minus 2 meters. And here thickness of the plate is given as 1.27 centimeters, means 10 power minus 2. and shearing stress of the given plate material is 3.45 mega means 10 power 6 Newton per meter square. Now the force they are asking, F is equal to shearing stress 3.45 into 10 power 6 into 2 into pi value 22 by 7 into R value. It's a 0.73 into 10 power minus 2 into T thickness 1.27 into 10 power minus 2. So now here 10 power minus 2, 10 power minus 2, 10 power plus 6. If you cancellate them and if you simplify this, you will get approximately equals to 200 into 10 power 3 newtons you will get. That is a 200 kilonewton. Okay, next subconcept is strain. What is meant by strain? Change produced per unit dimension is called strain. It is taken as change in dimension by original dimension. Here the strain is three types. Number one is longitudinal strain. Here longitudinal strain is nothing but the change in length of a body by original length of a body. That means when a normal force is acting on a body like a tensile stress, to change its length as its strain is taken as change in its length by original length of the body is called longitudinal strain. It is going to be change a size of the body, but it is not going to be change shape of the body. Next strain is shearing strain. This is nothing but the change in the aerial dimensions to the original dimensions we can take here. That means a tangential force is going to be act on a body. So here let us take a box or a book which is having a top surface area A, where the tangential force Ft is acting on that. Because of that force, the shape of the body is going to be changed. Now it is bent with an angle phi, so that with a displacement delta x whose side length is L. Now this shearing strain is taken as phi is equals to delta x by L. We can represent. It is going to be change the shape of the body, but size of the body remains the same. In the same way, one more representation we can take. Let us consider there it is a cylinder which is fixed at one end and another end is rotated through an angle theta. Now here that rotating angle theta, if you represent, the angle of twist takes place taken as a phi, which is having a radius r. Now we can represent this representation as phi is equals to r into theta by length of a wire, where L is the length of a wire or cylinder. This is also taken as a shearing strain. bulk strain or volume strain. If a force is acting normally on a body to change its volume, then it is taken as bulk strain is equal to change in volume by original volume. Here, negative sign represents compression takes place to the body. It is not having units, no units. So here we discussed three type of strain. One is longitudinal, second one is shearing strain, third one is a bulk strain. Now here these three strains nothing but change in dimension by original dimension means no units and no dimensions even. Next, for isotropic substances, if you consider longitudinal strain is one dimensional and a shearing strain is a two-dimensional and bulk strain is a three-dimensional, we can say. Now here that shearing strain is equal to 2 into longitudinal strain we can take and bulk strain is equal to 3 into longitudinal strain we can consider. And next concept is Hooke's law. Now the Hooke's law states that the stress is always directly proportional to strain under the elastic limits of a given body. So now here under the elastic limit means if the body is stretched with a applied force, then the body is going to be change its dimensions. If you remove that applied force, the body will come back to its original state and size and shape. That property is called elastic property. That limit is called elastic limit. Now here stress will be directly proportional to strain for a given material under its elastic limit. If you remove that proportionality, stress is equal to capital E into strain we can write. Here what is meant by E? E is equal to stress by strain. Now here this E is called modulus of elasticity. This is called modulus of elasticity. This is equal to the ratio between stress and strain, but it is not depending upon stress and strain. It is independent on this stress and strain, but it will be depend upon nature of the material. E will depend on nature of material. And next one, if you consider stress and strain curve, let us take here a graph, a stress and strain. Strain on x-axis, stress on y-axis. If you consider, it will be a straight line up to its elastic limit. Now, this will be angle theta, stress by strain, tan theta if you take for the graph y component by x component means stress by strain. Means stress by strain is equal to modulus of elasticity. Here the tan theta is a slope of a stress and strain curve, means modulus of elasticity is equals to the slope of a given curve we can take. If theta is more and modulus of elasticity also more, we can represent. Now one experiment, if you consider expansion of a wire, how the graph, stress and strain graph is going to be vary, then let us take a wire is hanging from the roof and a weight is hanging to that string mg. By increasing that weight mg, the string is going to be expand. When it is expanding, that elongation of a string is going to be calculated with the help of a scale. If you try to draw a graph for the stress applied to that wire and strain developed in that wire. If you draw a curve, stress and strain curve will be like this. Now here, in this curve, O and A curve will be a straight curve, A to B little bit a curvature, and B to C, and it will bend further, and continuously it will go to D and E. This curve will be like this. Here, up to O to A. O to A, here stress is directly proportional to strain. This is called proportionality limit. And A to B, if you further increase the stress, strain won't develop as like that previously. But if you remove the stress by that position, then the body will come back to original position called as a elastic limit. And next, if you consider, if you try to apply a stress beyond B up to C, and if you remove that stress, then body won't get back to its original shape and size. It will retain some other shape and size. That position is called OP. That OP is called a permanent set. That point C is called a yielding point. And if you increase the stress beyond C up to D, then that it can bear that maximum stress called D. Here D is called a breaking stress or bearable stress. Say bearable stress point. And if you apply that bearable stress up to D, and if you even remove that stress, but string won't get back to original position, string will lead to cut. So that's why it will go to breakdown. So here E is called breaking point. Next one, here it is a elastomers, which can be stretched for large strains like rubber, tissue of aorta, etc. These are called elastomers. So in this, stress and strain curve varies for material to material in a elastomers. So here, example of elastomers is rubber and tissue of aorta. Now here, stress and strain curve varies from material to material of these elastomers. Here, these elastomers won't satisfy Hooke's law. And next here, the elastic after effect is going to be exhibited by these elastomers. What is meant by elastic after effect? Here, elastic after effect means if you apply a stress and if you remove that stress, that expansion is going to be retraced slowly. That means the delay in regaining the original state after removal of force is called elastic after effect. So this value will be 0 for elastic body and will be infinity for plastic body. Means if you remove the applied force on a body, it's going to be retrace its original shape and size slowly. That effect is called elastic after effect. Next, what is meant by elastic hysteresis? If you consider elastic hysteresis, here the stress and strain curve we can draw, stress and strain. If you take these elastomers are facing a stress, because of the stress, strain won't develop proportionally, it will vary from position to position or from situation to situation. This, let me take OAB is a curve gone like this. If we remove the stress, then it won't come back in the same path. It will come back in the same path. It will come back in the opposite path, other path like this. Means BCO. So now if you consider area under the stress and strain curve, it will give the work done. So now here work done under a curve OAB is not equals to work done under a curve BCO. Here curve OAB is a curve when the stress is applied on the body, strain develops like this. If you remove the stress, curve will become like BCO. Now the OAB curve and BCO curve are not same, they are having a little bit difference. Work done under OAB is not equal to work done under BCO, whereas the work done under OAB is greater than work done under BCO. So now this work difference or this energy difference is coming out as a heat energy which is taken by the elastic body, whereas Q delta Q is equal to WOAB minus WBCO we can represent. This energy is coming in the form of a heat energy taken by the elastic body. This is called hysteresis of elastomers or hysteresis curve of elastomers. Next here, stress and strain curve, if you consider, we are taking a different curves which are having a different angles. Angle made by A is greater than angle made by B, and which is greater than angle made by C, and which is greater than angle made by D. These four curves are belongs to four different materials. If you consider, there we are having a steel, brass and rubber, like this. If you consider in this curve A, B, C, D, which graph belongs to which material? So here steel is a utmost material which is having a more elastic property. That's why curve A belongs to steel. And D is a very less elastic property material which is nothing but a rubber we can take. And here B and brass is a very next material which is having a elastic property than after the steel. That's why we can take a B is a brass belongs to. So like this we can explain the graphs belongs to stress and strain curve. Next, temperature effect. Temperature effect will be on elastic property of a material. So elastic property of a material will decrease by increasing the temperature for all materials except two materials. Those materials are rubber. For you, if you consider rubber material, for rubber elastic property or elasticity will increase by increasing the temperature. And for invar steel material, if you consider elasticity property won't change by even increasing or decreasing the temperature. This is a independent on temperature. Next, modulus of elasticity. So here elastic modulus or modulus of elasticity is given as the stress by strain. This modulus of elasticity is three types. Number one is Young's modulus, indicated with Y is equal to force by area stress by strain, change in length by original length we can represent. Second one is a shearing modulus indicated with eta is equals to force by area by change in area by original area or delta phi we can represent. And third one here it is a bulk modulus indicated with B, which is taken as a force by area stress by strain, change in volume by original volume, 3 dimensions here. Like this, 3 types we can represent here in this modulus of elasticity. Now first one is Young's modulus. Indicated with Y. What is meant by Young's modulus? Young's modulus Y is equals to longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain we can represent, that is equal to F by A by delta L by L you can represent. Y is equals to, if you bring upwards, F into L by A delta L. Here delta L is called as elongation. Since let us take delta L is equals to small e, elongation. Therefore, you can represent delta L with E. F is equal to Y equal to FL by A into E. This is called Young's modulus. It is having units Newton per meter square, same like a stress. And next here, this Young's modulus, if you consider, by using this formula we can calculate the elongation. Elongation E is equal to FL by AY we can represent. And if you want change in length by original length, if you want to calculate, delta L by L is equal to F by AY. Here delta L by L is nothing but E by L you can take. And delta L by L into 100% change in length of a given wire if they ask, then you can calculate like this with this formula. And if you want to calculate force should be acted, F is equals to YAE by L. This form you can use. And one example experiment is there for this Young's modulus, that is called Searle's experiment. Experiment which explains about the Young's modulus of a wire. In this, one wire is hanging from the roof which is having area of cross section A equal to pi r square and having a length L, and Young's modulus of the material is Y, hanging with a mass M. And now here the Young's modulus is taken as FL by A into elongation. Now we want elongation E is equal to FL by AY. Here F is equal to mg. So by substituting that, elongation E is equal to mgl by A value pi r square into Y. This is the formula we can use. Now here if the elongation is directly proportional to the weight hanging and the length of a wire and inversely proportional to area of cross section and Young's modulus. Here Young's modulus does not depend upon any values, it is only a material dependent. And next, why Young's modulus is explained for solids only. Y is for solids only, not explained for liquids and gases. Now here, if you consider in this elongation E is equal to mgl by pi r square y. Now if you consider Young's only one material we are using y representation taken as a constant, and same weight is hanging to that wire. If you take mg constant, then the length and area of the wires are changing by us, then proportionality will be E proportional to L by pi r square. This formula also useful to calculate the if same load is hung to two wires of radius r1 equal to r, r2 equal to 3r of same material, then their elongations ratio is, so here elongation E proportional to 1 by r square. Why? Because L1 equal to L2 same length, Y1 equal to Y2 same material, and weight F1 is equal to F2 same force they applied under same load. So therefore elongation proportional to 1 by pi r square. Pi is a constant, therefore E proportional to 1 by r square. So E1 by E2 is equal to R2 by R1 whole square, which is equal to R2 is a 3R and R1 is a R. Let me substitute 3R by R whole square. RR cancel. 3 square means 9 by 1. So elongation's ratio is 9:1. Understood? Simple concept. Next we can go through another numerical. If a wire of length L, area capital A, of mass less is hanging from roof with a load of mass capital M in air, then its elongation is E1. Then if mass capital M is dipped completely in a liquid of density rho, then its elongation is. Now here let us take a string of massless having a length L hanging from the roof and which is loaded with a weight mg of mass m. Here weight is acting as mg. Now here elongation they given E1 is equal to mgl by A into y. You can take A is area of cross section. Same load if they dip in a liquid completely of density rho. Completely they dip in a liquid of density rho. Now its weight is acting as a mg dash, means m into g dash means g into 1 minus rho by d. You can take 1 minus rho by d, whereas rho is the density of a liquid and d is the density of a body. We can take it as, here elongation E2 is equal to mg dash L by ay, same area representation. E2 is equal to mg into 1 minus density of liquid by density of the body into length by ay. So now here mgl by ay, mgl by ay we can represent as E1 into 1 minus rho by d. So we can represent elongation in a given wire when the body is completely dipped in a liquid is taken as E2 is equal to elongation in a same wire in air E1 into 1 minus rho by d. This formula we can use in numericals very frequently. In this question we can write one more concept as partially dipped body. If you consider in a liquid, what it will happen. So if a body is partially dipped in a liquid, as a massive body was there which is inside the liquid, as volume of the body inside is taken as a V in. Now we want to take the elongation over here. Now here mg dash weight is acting over here on this body, that is equals to volume inside the body, volume of the body inside the liquid into density of the liquid into gravity, if you consider this, it will be upthrust acting on the body. So now weight of the body, if you want, weight of the body W dash is equal to original weight minus upthrust V in rho g. Now here this value, if you consider as a weight, apparent weight of the body, then elongation E3 is equals to W dash into length by AY we can take. E3 is equal to mg minus V in rho into g by AY whole into L. So elongation of a wire by its own weight. Let us consider a wire of length L, mass capital M, and uniform cross-sectional area A hanging from the roof. So by its own weight, the string is going to be expand, which is having a Young's modulus Y. Now let us calculate that expansion of a wire by its own weight. So to calculate that, let us take small portion dx. So on this portion dx, this beneath wire is acting its weight to expand this wire. So now we can calculate a elongation, small elongation in this wire piece dx as dl, elongation dl is equals to the stress acting on this piece, means this portion weight by area, means stress by area, stress by Young's modulus we can take, which is into length of a piece we can take dx. So now here what is the stress acting on that? Stress acting on this is equal to weight of this piece, means mass per unit length gives mass density, linear mass density, into this portion is takes place at a height x, into x we can take here. Now this is the force act mass of the body into gravity by area of cross section we can take. This is called stress, means mgx by al. This stress value, let me substitute here, dl is equal to mgx by ALY into dx. Now this is the elongation takes place in a small portion dx. This portion, this elongation is integrated, integral dl is equal to integral mgx by ALY into dx. From limits, dx value vary from 0 to L, so 0 to L. By integrating this, we can get it as integral mgx by ALY. So constant values, let me bring out mg by ALY. Integral x dx means x square by 2 from limits 0 to L. So integral dl means L is equal to mg by ALY into L square by 2 minus upper limit minus lower limit 0 square by 2. So here mg L square by 2ALY, one LL cancel, so mgl by 2AY you can represent, where m is the mass of a wire. Mass of a wire is equal to volume of a wire into density we can write, whereas volume is equal to area of cross section into length. So area into length into density of a wire rho into gravity GL by 2AY. So AA let me cancel. So half rho GL square by y you can take. So elongation E is equal to small l is equal to rho g L square by 2y. This is the basic formula we are going to be used to calculate the numerical. So the elongation produced in a wire by its own weight to calculate this formula is useful. Let us see one numerical. A 8 meters long string of rubber having a density 1.5 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube and Young's modulus 5 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square is suspended from the ceiling of a room. Increase in its length due to its own weight will be given g is equal to 10 meter per second square. Now here the length of a wire is given as 8 meters and it is a rubber having a density rho is equal to 1.5 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube and Young's modulus given as 5 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square is suspended by its own weight from the roof, from the ceiling of a room. The increase in its elongation, E value we have to calculate due to its own weight. Already we proved the formula to calculate the elongation. E is equal to half into rho g L square by y. So now here half into rho value 1.5 into 10 power 3 into g value 10 L square, L is 8 square by y value 5 into 10 power 6 we can take. So now here by calculating these values, so now here 1.5 into 10 gives 15, 5 1s are 5 3s are, we can cancel these. So 3 by 2, 96 into 10 power minus 3, so that is equals to 9.6 into 10 power minus 2 meters. This is the elongation takes place in that wire hanging by its own weight. So this is the answer we can consider. So like this we can calculate the numericals by using this direct formula. Let us go to one more numerical. The length of a metal wire is L1 when the tension in it is F1 and L2 when the tension becomes F2. Then find the natural length of the wire. So if you consider a wire is there, for that wire a force F1 is acting, here the length is L1, means after elongation its final length is L1, means here elongation E1 let me take. Same wire, if the force is changed as F2, if a force is acting on that F2, then the length of a wire is measured as L2, where the elongation becoming E2, whose material Young's modulus is Y. Now here they are asking what is the original length of a wire. Original length of a wire they are asking. So original length if you want to calculate L, so Y is equals to F1 L, original length L by area of cross section into elongation, which is equal to F2 into original length L by A into E2 we can write. So by cancelling these two we can get one relation, F1 by E1 is equals to F2 by E2. Why? Because both are same materials. Now here elongation. Elongation if you consider L1 is equal to original length L plus E1, means E1 is equal to L1 minus L you can write. Similarly length L2, second wire is equal, L2 is equal to L plus E2. So E2 is equals to L2 minus L you can write. Substitute these two values over here. F1 by L1 minus L is equals to F2 by L2 minus L. Now simplify these two to get L value, then you will get L is equal to L1 into F2 minus L2 into F1 by F2 minus F1. This is the original length of a wire which is having a final length L1 when force applied F1, and which is having a total length L2 finally when applied force is F2. Then its original length is taken as L is equal to L1 F2 minus L2 F1 by F2 minus F1. It's a very, very important formula. If they give the numericals in the value forms, we can use this formula. Let us go to next numerical. A horizontally oriented uniform copper rod of length L is rotating about a vertical axis passing through its center. Calculate the rotated frequency at which the rod ruptures. The breaking strength of copper is sigma and density of the copper is rho. Now we want to calculate angular frequency omega or angular velocity omega we want to calculate. So how to solve this? So let us consider a rod of length L is rotating about its own axis, passing through its center and perpendicular to its length. When it is rotating with angular velocity, so on the rod material, centripetal force will act. To balance it, centrifugal force will act. Centripetal force is taken as mr omega square. Now let us consider at a distance x, a small piece let me take. That small portion is having a width dx and it is having a mass. dm is equals to area of cross section into density into width dx you can take. Now, so what is the maximum omega without rupture the rod? Now here let me consider small portion dx which is having a mass dm is equal to area of that rod into width of the rod dx into density of the material rho. Now if this portion is rotating in a circular path, on this portion dx net force is acting as F towards the center, F plus dF is away from the center, because force F toward the center acting because of this portion and F plus dF is acting because of the mass dm and this portion. And now here the net force if you calculate F minus of F plus dF is equals to small mass dm of the piece into what is the distance x into omega square. This is the centripetal force acting on that small portion. Now if you try to calculate F and minus F cancel, minus dF is equal to x omega square into dm a rho into dx you can write. Now bring minus this side, integrate both sides. Integral df is equal to minus integral omega square a rho x dx. If you integrate this value, you will get integral f. Integral df means f, that equal to minus omega square a rho or constants integral dx dx x square by 2. In integration you can consider one constant over here. In generally in physics we will eliminate the constant, but in this problem to calculate that maximum angular velocity we need to calculate compulsory c value. Now constant to find out, the force will be 0 when the portion dx if you consider at the edge. That means if x is equal to L by 2, this is L, this is L by 2. If the X is at L by 2, at that portion, the force will become 0. Now substitute this representation. 0 is equal to minus omega square A rho. X square means L square by 2 square means 4. 4 2s are 8 plus C. So now C is equal to omega square A rho L square by 8. This is the constant you can take over here. Now the force let me calculate. F is equal to, this is the formula, minus omega square A rho X square by 2 plus omega C value omega square A rho L square by 8. Now let me take common values. A omega square rho by 2, make it common, so it will become L square by 4 minus X square. This is the general formula we got for the force. Now at X equal to 0 means at the axis of rotation, we need to calculate a force. Force F is equal to A omega square rho by 2 into L square by 4 minus 0 square you can take. So now here X value 0, you remove that, and F is equal to F naught at the center at the axis of rotation. F naught is equal to, you will get A rho omega square L square by 8 you will get. Now here this is the force acting at the axis of rotation on area. Now stress S is equal to F naught by A. So therefore F naught by A means A, bring this side, F naught by A you will get rho omega square L square by 8 you will get. Now here this stress is taken as A here it is given as sigma. So now here let me take omega square. Omega square is equal to 8 sigma by rho L square. Now omega is equal to root over 8 sigma by rho L square. This is the maximum angular velocity we can rotate that given rod without rupture. Understood or not? Just observe the skeleton of this problem. Once again, a horizontal rod is there made up of a copper of length L. Is rotating about its own axis passing through its center perpendicular to its length. So what is the maximum angular velocity with which we can rotate without rupturing the rod, where the breaking strength of the copper is a sigma, means it is called stress, bearable stress. Then the density of the copper rod is given as rho. So how we calculated? Here I took small portion at a distance x from the axis of rotation as dx. Its mass is dm and net force acting on that portion calculated. So as force is equal to centripetal force dm into x omega square, and I simplify this and I integrate. After integration we got the constant, and that constant we have to calculate means the force will be 0 on a piece if you consider at the edge. Therefore at x equal to L by 2, force taken as 0. By substituting these two over here we will get constant. By substituting that constant we construct a force formula. This is the general force formula. Now we want to calculate the force at the axis of rotation, so that is F naught where x equal to 0. By substituting this we will get the force on that rod at the axis of rotation. Now that force by area, if you take stress, that is the maximum stress called as a bearable strength, that is a breaking strength given as a sigma. Now by substituting that value we will calculate omega. So omega, it is a root of 8 sigma by rho L square. This is the maximum angular velocity with which we can rotate a given rod without breaking. Understood? We'll go to next question. Next question, in the given graph, extension E or elongation E of a wire of length 1 meter is suspended from the top of a roof at one end and with a load W connected to other end. If the cross-sectional area of the wire is 10 power minus 6 meter square, then the Young's modulus of material of the wire is. So given graph like this. So what weight W is given in the newtons, 20, 40, 60, 80 newtons, and elongation is taken as 1, 2, 3, 4 E values into multiplied by 10 power minus 4 meters. Now how to calculate this? Young's modulus Y is equals to weight of the body W, nothing but a force, into length of a wire by area of cross section into elongation. Now here we can calculate, so L by E by W into A, let me consider like this. E means Y component, W means X component. Y component by X component, it will give as a slope of this. So E by W is equal to slope. Slope of the graph, if you calculate, means y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, means 4 minus 1 into 10 power minus 4 by 80 minus 20. So if you calculate that slope, that is 4 minus 1 is 3 into 10 power minus 4. 80 minus 20 gives 60. 3 ones are 3 20s are. So therefore if you remove, say 5 into 10 power minus 6 you will get. Now substitute this value. So y is equal to L by slope into area. So what are the values? Given L is 1 meter suspended from the top of a roof and area of cross section 10 power minus 6. So if you take 1 by slope value 5 into 10 power minus 6 into 10 power minus 6. So you will get 1 by 5 into 10 power minus 12. If you take 10 power minus 12, come up 10 power 12 by 5 gives 10 into 10 power 11 by 5. 5 2s are, so 2 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square. So this is the Young's modulus of a given wire hanging is calculated by using the graphical representation. These kind of numericals are very important. Let us go to next numerical here. A load of 4 kg is suspended from a ceiling through a steel wire of length 20 meters and radius 2 millimeter. It is found that the length of the wire increases by 0.031 millimeter as equilibrium is achieved if G equal to 3.1 into pi meter per second square. Then the value of Young's modulus in Newton per meter square is. So now let me take the given data. Given value, mass M is equals to 4 kg and length L is equal to 20 meters and radius of a given wire is 2 into 10 power minus 3 meters and elongation E is equals to 0.031 into 10 power minus 3 meters because millimeters conversion. G is equals to given 3.1 into pi meter per second square given value and they are asking Young's modulus. So what is the general formula for the Young's modulus? Y is equal to weight of the body hanging mg into length of a wire by area of cross section pi r square elongation E. All values are there with us by substituting 4 into 3.1 into pi into length of a wire 20 meters by pi into r square 2 into 10 power minus 3 whole square into elongation 0.031 into 10 power minus 3. So pi remove. So by calculating all these values, we will get 2 into 10 power 12 Newton per meter square. Try to calculate this. Understood or not? This is the Young's modulus of a given material we can calculate. Let us go to next numerical. What percentage of length of a wire will increase by applying a stress of 1 kg weight per millimeter square on it? Given Young's modulus 1 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square and 1 kg weight given as 9.8 newtons. So how to calculate this percentage? So first let us take the given data. M is equal to, given mass equals to 1 kg. Area of cross section is given as 1 millimeter square. So Young's modulus given as 1 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square. G value we know that 9.8 means 1 kg weight equal to 9.8 Newton. Now they are asking what percentage of length of a wire will increase. Means change in length by original length into 100% is equals to mg means weight by area of cross section into Young's modulus into 100% you can write. Now here mg means weight, 1 kg weight, it is a 9.8 Newton. Mg value totally 9.8 Newton into length of a wire delta L by L value we are calculating into 100 by area of cross section. A value it is taken as 1 millimeter square. 1 millimeter square converted into meter square means 10 power minus 6 meter square. It's a 10 power minus 6 into Young's modulus 10 power 11. So by simplifying these values, we will get here 10 power minus 6 into 10 power 11. By calculating 10 power 5, you will get 10 power 5. So this 10 power 5 going upside, then it will come 9.8 into 10 power minus 3 after cancelling these two zeros. So 9.8 into 10 power minus 3 percentage. If you consider 0.0098% will increase. This is the increment of length of a wire. Next question is, a copper wire and an aluminum wire has lengths in the ratio L1 by L2 is equal to 3 by 2. Diameters in the ratio D1 by D2 means radius R1 by R2 in the ratio 2 by 3. And force applied in the ratio F1 by F2 is equals to 4 by 5. Find the ratio of the increase in its length E1 by E2 elongations of two wires they are asking. So first is the copper wire, next is aluminum wire. So Y1 by Y2 is taken as this is Y1, this is Y2. So it is 11 into 10 power 11 by 7 into 10 power 10. So by simplifying 110 by 7 you can get it as. Now how to calculate the elongation? E is equals to F into L by AY. So means F into L by pi R square Y. So ratio, if you want, E proportional to F L by R square Y, means E1 by E2 is equals to F1 by F2 into L1 by L2 into R2 by R1 whole square into Y2 by Y1 you can write. So by substituting the values, F1 by F2 it is a 4 by 5 into L1 by L2 it is a 3 by 2. R2 by R1, here R1 by R2 2 by 3, it's a 3 by 2 whole square into Y2 by Y1. So reverse it, 7 by 110. So now cancellate them. 2 square 4, 4 cancel. And next here 5 2s are 10. So if you simplify this, finally we will get 189 by 110 you will get. This is the required ratio of elongations of those copper wire and aluminum wire. Understood or not? Let us go to next numerical. Two wires are made of the same material and having the same volume. However, wire 1 has a cross-sectional area A and wire 2 has the cross-sectional area 3A. If the length of the wire is wire 1 increases by delta x, on applying a force F, and how much force is needed? How much force is needed to stretch a wire 2, second wire, by the same means for the same elongation, means E2 equal to E1 equal to delta x. Now representation, let me take here, volumes are same, V1 equal to V2. If you consider here, volume of the wire means area of cross section A1 into length L1 equal to A2 into L2 we can take. And same material means Y1 equal to Y2 we can represent. Now here, same elongation. Elongation means E equals to F into L by AY. Now here E1 equal to E2 means same force F1 into L1 by area A1. Y is same for all materials, is equal to F2 L2 by A2. This formula we can use. What is meant by F1? F1 is called F into what is meant by L1? L1 is a initial length. We don't know that. Now F into L1 by area of cross section A1 is equal to F2, need to find out, into L2 by A2. Now F2 is equals to, bring values this side, F into L1 by L2 into A2 by A1 you can take. So now here one relation is there with us, A1 by A2 is equals to L2 by L1. So now here L1 by L2 you can replace L1 by L2 equal to A2 by A1. So F into A2 by A1, once again A2 by A1. So multiply F into A2 by A1 whole square. So F into A2 value given as 3A by A1 value given as A. Cancel them, whole square, 3 square 9, 9F. So required force is 9 times of the initial force. Understood or not? Next question. A load of 1 kg weight is attached to the one end of a steel wire of cross-sectional area 3 millimeter square and Young's modulus 10 power 11 Newton per meter square. Area 3 millimeter square means 3 into 10 power minus 6 meter square. and Young's modulus is 10 power 11 Newton per meter square. The other end is suspended vertically from a hook on a wall. Then the load is pulled horizontally and released from rest. When the load passes through its lowest point, then the fractional change in its length is, fractional change means delta L by L they are asking. So this question is a mixed concept. If a wire connected with a mass M pulled aside horizontally means from this level it is at a height L. It is having a potential energy. When it is released from this height, that potential energy is converted into kinetic energy when it comes to lowest position. Then it will get the velocity at this place as V. When it is having a velocity, it will have the kinetic energy at this position. That means a centripetal force will act because of this velocity, as well as weight is acting as a mg. So to calculate the elongation at this position, so we have to calculate the two forces, weight mg and centripetal force and centrifugal force mv square by r. So to calculate that, tension T is equal to mv square by L plus mg. This is the weight, this is the centrifugal force. Now V square by L value how to calculate? So potential energy is converted into kinetic energy by the law of conservation of mechanical energy. Now here mg h means L, mg L is equals to half mv square, remove. So now here V square by L is equals to 2g. So take the value over here, T is equals to m into V square by L taken as 2g plus mg. 2mg plus mg gives 3mg. This is the tension acting over there. So 3 into m value, if you take m is a mass 1 kg, 1 into g value 10, that equal to 30 newtons will act on this rod at this on this wire at this lower position. Now elongation means change in length by original length is equals to tension T by area of cross section into Young's modulus. T 30 Newton, area of cross section 3 into 10 power minus 6 by Young's modulus, it is a 10 power 11. So 3 ones are 3 tens are. So 10 power minus 6, 10 power 11 gives 10 power 5. 10 power 5 it is coming upside, 10 power minus 5 into 10 gives 10 power minus 4. So delta L by L means it's a ratio, it's a strain. Strain is 10 power minus 4. What is the units? There is no units. So like this we can calculate this numerical. Let us go to next numerical. The radii and Young's modulus of two uniform wires A and B are in the ratio. Means radii ratio R1 by R2 2 by 1. And Young's modulus ratio Y1 by Y2 is equals to 1 by 2 respectively. Both the wires are subjected to the same longitudinal force, means F1 is equal to F2. If increase in the length of wire A is 1%, means E1 by L1 into 100% is equal to 1%. Then the percentage increase in the length of a wire B is E2 by L2 into 100% value, how much they are asking. Now E by L is equals to F by AY. So into 100 if they are asking, into 100% is equal to into 100. So we can calculate like this. Now E1 by L1 into 100. So E1 by L1 by E2 by L2 into 100 is equals to F1 by A1 Y1 into 100 by F2 by A2 Y2 into 100. So we no need 100 over here. We can cancellate those values. In percentages we can represent. So now here this is the known value, this is unknown value. By substituting 1 by E2 by L2 into 100 value, if you take it's a percent, is equals to F1 by A1, 100 cancel here. F1, F2 both are similar, remove them. So it is a A2, reverse this, A2 Y2 by A1 Y1. So that is equals to A2 means R2 square by R1 square into Y2 by Y1. R2 square by R1 square means 1 by 2 whole square into Y2 by Y1 means 2 by 1. So cancellate them. 1 by 4 into 2 by 1 gives 1 by 2. So 1 by E2 by L2 into 100 value. So now here E2 by L2 into 100 percentage is equal to, reverse them, 2%. So this is the required value. Let us go to next numerical. Next concept, combination of wires. We can connect wires in two methods. One is series, another one is parallel. First one is series combination. If two wires of lengths L1 and L2 of same area of cross section connected one to another in a series combination and weight is hanging to one edge and another edge is connected to the roof, whose lengths L1 and L2 and different materials of Young's modulus Y1 and Y2, if you hang with a weight W, both are going to be expand individually with elongations E1 and E2. Now, so that total elongation E total is equals to E1 plus E2, it will comes here. Now here, by calculating this formula, L1 plus L2 by Y effective is equals to L1 by Y1 plus L2 by Y2 you will get. This is the generalized formula we can use. If, for example, L1 is equal to L2, same lengths if you consider as a L, so L plus L, 2L you will get. 2L by Y effective is equals to L by Y1 plus L by Y2 you can take. So cancellate L, then you will get Y effective is equals to 2 into Y1 Y2 by Y1 plus Y2. This is the effective Young's modulus we can calculate for the series combination of wires. Here the Young's modulus is directly proportional to length, Y proportional to L over here. And next one is parallel. Parallel combination of two wires. If we consider there are two wires connected parallelly, means two wires of same length, let me consider here L and L of different modulus Y1 Y2, both are connected with a weight W. Now here area of cross section A1 and A2 let me take. Then if you take here, their stress will be same. Effective stress is equal to S1 plus S2 we can calculate over here. Now how to get the formula for this? So force, effective force by effective area is equals to F1 by A1 plus F2 by A2 we can take over here. By solving this we will get Y effective is equals to Y1 A1 plus Y2 A2. Y effective into A effective is equals to. Now here Y effective is equals to Y1 A1 plus Y2 A2 by A effective means A1 plus A2. This is the general formula we can use for the parallel combination of wires. For example, if A1 is equals to A2 is equal to A, therefore Y effective is equals to Y1 plus Y2 by 2. This is the generalized formula we can use. And next, by using this concept, we can calculate the problems. Now, problem on this is two wires of equal cross section, but one made up of a steel and other made up of a copper are joined end to end when the combination is kept under tension. The elongations in the two wires are found to be equal, means E1 is equal to E2. If Y steel is given and Y copper is given, then ratio of the lengths of the two wires is L1, L2, Y1, Y2. So both are connected in series. Therefore, its elongations are similar, they're told. Now here, they're asking their lengths ratio. So to calculate like that, Y proportional to L, already just now we discussed. So L1 by L2 is equals to Y1 by Y2 we can take here for the same elongation. So now L1 by L2 directly is equals to Y1 by Y2 we can take here. Y1 value means L steel. Two wires of equal cross section, but one of made of steel and one of copper. So Y steel by Y copper we can take gives L steel by L copper we can get. This is the relation. So steel it is 2 into 10 power 11 by 1.1 into 10 power 11. Cancel them. Therefore 20 by 11 we will get. This is the ratio of that. L1 by L2 means L steel by L copper ratio is 20 by 11. This is a 20 and this is 11 in meters or centimeters we can take to get the same elongation in each wire. Understood or not? Next question is, two wires are arranged as shown in the figure. The elongations in upper and lower wires are respectively. So here L1 length wire of material Y1 constant and area of cross section A connected with a mass M1, and another wire of length L2 having same area connected beneath the mass M1 of constant Y2, and to whom a mass M2 is connected down over here. What are the elongations in these two wires E1 and E2? Values they are asking to calculate. How to get it? When you are considering elongation in this wire, this mass and this mass both are acting. So therefore, elongation E1 is considered as M1 plus M2 total mass into gravity. And that way, that force is acting in this wire of length L1 by area of that one is A into Young's modulus is Y1. And if you consider elongation E2, so in this wire, this is the roof considered, and here it is a only weight acting. M2G into length of that wire is L2 by area into Y2 is the Young's modulus of that wire. Like that, we can write the elongations. It's a simple theoretical oriented question. Next question is, a light rod of length 100 centimeters means 1 meter is suspended from the ceiling horizontally by means of two wires of equal lengths LL tied to the end of the rod. One of the wires is of steel and the other is made up of a brass. Steel area of cross section 0.1. A1 is equals to 0.1 centimeter square means 10 power minus 4 meter square. The other wire is brass area of cross section is 0.2 centimeter square, means 10 power minus 4 meter square. The position from the steel wire along the rod at which a load is to be placed to produce equal stress in the both wires, to produce the equal stress. So to produce the equal stress means, so now here force by area and here force by area should be same. Means F1 by A1 is equals to F2 by A2. So therefore F1 by F2 ratio, it should be A1 by A2. Now here A1 value 0.1, same units 0.2. So therefore 1 by 2, F1 by F2 ratio. So where I have to hang the weight W. From one edge, let me take X distance. From the another edge, 100 minus X let me take. Therefore here force F1, here force F2. So by the balancing condition, leftward moment is equal to rightward moment of force. F1 into X is equal to F2 into 100 minus X. So now here F1 by F2 is equals to, bring X this side, 100 minus X by X. Therefore, if you consider 100 by X minus 1, so that is equal to F1 by F2 value 1 by 2. 1 bring this side, 1 plus 1 by 2 is equal to 100 by X. So 3 by 2 is equal to 100 by X. X is equal to 200 by 3. So this is the length. At this length, from one edge, from the first rod, we can hang the weight to get the same stress in the two wires. Understood or not? So like this we can solve the numericals on this combination of wires.